If you guys have been watching the last few weeks, we pit up two players of the same position that are lineup dilemmas, and then we present them to Kay, our fantasy guru, who has to take a side. It's easy just to play, hey, start both of them. You've got to take a side, and we're going to start off with one of our good friends, Mike Zimmer's ears. Mike Zimmer's ears has nothing to do with Mike Zimmer, I don't think. He is just a Twitter follower that loves the show, and we love him. He's traveled, he's seen us in Canton, he went to Kyle Brandt's show.
Yes.
And he's asking here, look, Mahomes is where my heart is now.
Oh, man.
But to get there, I may have to cross some rivers. That's a pun. Which of these two AFC West quarterbacks should I choose? Kay,
Mike Zimmer's ears is a great guy. He's also an agitator because I feel like he doesn't really have these two guys in fantasy. He just wants us to have a conversation of how I love Phillip Rivers and how you guys all love Patrick Mahomes.
Producer.
So we went to Twitter. We put up a poll during the show. I have not yet seen the results, but let's take a look. Starting Phillip Rivers up against Oakland or Patrick Mahomes up against Jacksonville. This is over 1,000 people voting now saying Phillip Rivers. Mahomes is the highest scoring fantasy quarterback to start the season. Rivers is the 7th. They're both startable. Mahomes has 14 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions, but he has the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I'm going to ask you, I'm not deciding this.
Why not? Kay, you're the fantasy expert.
You three are deciding.
I'll jump in right away.
You're going to go
Mahomes. If you have the courage to bench Patrick Mahomes for anyone through 4 weeks of the season, you either aren't enjoying the ride or you were thinking way too much into this. Never bench Mahomes.
Never.
Peter, he did not have a big fantasy night against.
He had 1 touchdown on Monday night.
He had 300 passing yards and ran in a touchdown.
Okay, but no quarterback this year, going back to the beginning of last year, but just this year specifically, they're 183 yards a game for quarterbacks and less than 1 touchdown. They're allowing less than 1 touchdown, and they've to sort of pick apart quarterbacks that don't have a ton of experience in the league. Mahomes could be different, but Rivers has a great matchup up against Oakland. So
it sounds like you made your decision.
I haven't. I really haven't.
I
would like to hear your side of it.
I'll say this. Being a married man, oftentimes you have to admit when you're wrong. You have to say, okay, I should have trusted you. To my wife, you know what? You were right. I was wrong. You said it over and over again. That's how you stay married. But in football, we do it too. It's like I said it early in the season, I'm never going to test Mahomes in that offense. You said, I'm never going to doubt the Patriots again. I'm with you on Mahomes.
Yeah.
I love the Jacksonville Jaguars defense. It's my favorite. I just said that defense can win championships. But I will not cross Mahomes in this offense in that creative play calling.
Yeah, right.
I get that Mahomes hasn't seen a defense like this. Jacksonville Jaguars haven't seen an offense like this.
You know what it is, Kay, for me in a nutshell? I could live with myself if I benched Rivers. If I benched Mahomes and he went Mahomes, I would never forgive myself.
I'm going to be talked into it. I'll go Patrick Mahomes. We'll see how it all shakes out.
All right.
Next up, Craig is asking what?
Running backs, Kay.
Okay, let's do it.
Sony Michel, you highlighted him earlier in the show, one of those Georgia Bulldogs. Or James Conner. Conner going against the Falcons, Sony against the Colts right here Thursday Night Football.
Conner's been held under 20 yards without a touchdown in 2 of his last 3 games. He does have Atlanta on the docket, but Atlanta is really generous to running backs that can catch the ball. That's not really James Conner's skill set, so I'm going to go with Sony Michel, who broke out last week. They fed him a lot. They fed him often. No Rex Burkhead. I know Julian Edelman is going to come in and maybe take some of those looks, but, I mean, Sony looked explosive. He looked good, and I think he will get the bulk of the carries, given the fact that Burkhead's out against a defense that's pretty darn generous to running backs.
Okay, speak to this. I'm so scared of Patriots running backs. I've been burned so many times, and it's so
like
logical this week for them to ride Sony Michel. So logical, which makes me afraid that they won't do it. You know what I mean?
But I think he'll be involved all over the field, and even the game script won't even matter.
Because he's that good and he's that young, they spent the pick on him. That's been the idea. I hope
think he finally had his breakout game. I think anything leading up to this was the fact that he was dealing with an injury, that knee that happened right before the season started.
Plus, you can't pick Conner right now. It's cold.
All right.
Not great.
Let's talk wide receivers. Next, Alexandra says that she wants to know Calvin Ridley up against the Steelers. Brandon Cooks in Seattle taking on the Seahawks. It's Ridley or Cooks in the flex.
Just got to go with the touchdown upside, I think, on this one. You talked about it. You broke it down today. 6 touchdowns for Calvin Ridley, 1 touchdown for Brandon Cooks. I feel like he's just the go-to target in the red zone. But Cooks also, you're going to get the yards with Cooks. I'm still going to go. If you're looking at the matchup, though, Calvin Ridley up against the Steelers, who haven't been able to stop anybody.
You can't bench Ridley right now, right? I mean, Cook sounds insane, but you have to start Ridley. You can't.
That's right. I have one for you guys. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Today is National Coffee with a Cop Day, and it got us talking about cop movies in the post-show meeting yesterday. So I submit to you a fantasy face-off on Better Cop movie. Is it or RoboCop, which you guys love to talk about.
Love RoboCop.
Or
Yeah!
Kindergarten Cop. It's not a tumor. What is your daddy and who is your daddy and what does he do?
It's funny because RoboCop is sort of like Kirkland Brand Terminator in a little bit, and we're seeing Schwarzenegger up
You guys love Kirkland Brand Terminator.
Yeah. We do. I love RoboCop. You know, I was worried once about Kindergarten Cop. I was worried about the little kid who plays Dominic. Because sometimes those kids go off and it doesn't end well. I looked them up.
You deep dive?
I did. It's Christian and Joseph. They apparently live in Orange County. They're in their mid-30s. They're twins. They're not doing acting anymore. They did Little Knots Landing, a little Dream On. And then they walked off. I'm not sure what they're doing now. So I was so relieved to see that they're okay. And I'm going to go with that being said, I'm going to go with RoboCop.
Already won.
Yes, because I'll buy that for $1. It's incredible. That movie was so R-rated, it hurt. I love it.
I'm going RoboCop, too. I loved Kindergarten Cop. I remember seeing it on vacation as a kid and being like, oh, it's funny.
Penelope, hello.
Loved it. Great movie. RoboCop's badass. I'm going RoboCop. RoboCop, not one to mess with.
I'm going with Kindergarten Cop.
All right.
Listen, a group of kids in a classroom giving Arnold Schwarzenegger a hard time. Anytime you get a really big, strong actor with a huge name, with little kids, it works every time. I'll go Cop and a half.
I like Cop. Burt Reynolds.
Pro.
I was going to talk Time Cop. I'm into that, too. We can do a sequel segment here.
Cop Land.
If we had
Michael Rappaport, hello.
Will Silva, RoboCop or Kindergarten Cop?
For me, it is definitely Kindergarten Cop. When I think of Schwarzenegger in that movie, especially when I have like multiple play dates in my house, there's a slow-mo of him like going down on the bed, and he says, "They're terrible.
Oh yeah,
they're horrible." That's how I feel after multiple play dates in my house, in slow-mo like this. They're terrible. So, anyway,
Kindergarten Newsman sounds like a fun.
And that's your fantasy face-off. Will, take it away.
That is Daisy. Well, in case you haven't heard, Andrew Luck and the Colts set to take on the Patriots on Thursday. It could be a historic night for Tom Brady. He's just 3 touchdown passes away from 500 for his career. He could become just the 3rd QB to reach that mark, joining Peyton Manning and Brett Favre. With the Colts and Patriots matchup hasn't gone well for Andrew Luck, as we've seen over the years. He's 0-5 lifetime against Brady and crew, including the playoffs, and is just 7-8 in primetime games. Luck knows there is no love lost between these teams and their fan bases, so is it safe to say they hate each other?
Yeah, hate's a strong word, but you hear fans share their disfavor with the Patriots, and you know, that's, you know, when appropriate, that's a fun thing about sports. I think it's okay to have rivalries. I think it's okay to get behind your team and feel a little animosity, you know, towards another team.
He's smiling. There's no animosity. As for Rob Gronkowski, for the 2nd straight day, he did not practice, although Tuesday's session was just a walkthrough for the Pats. The tight end is still considered day-to-day with an ankle issue, although NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport reported earlier this week that Gronk's ailment isn't considered serious. And could Dez be headed back to Big D? A fan on Twitter asked him Tuesday who he's going to sign with, to which Dez responded, rather be with the Dallas Cowboys. If not, I'll be ready to play somewhere else. So when it's all said and done, could we see Dez back in Jerry's world? I mean, that is a distinct possibility, I'm assuming. We all thought he would maybe sign with the Browns, but now he's throwing out the Cowboys here. Schrags, you've been on this. Where are we at with Dez?
I don't know where we're at with Dez. I feel like that the list is narrowing of teams that are going to be wanting Dez back in there. And if there is ever any place that would welcome him back, it is that city. But now it just needs to be whether they're willing to do it as a team. But, man, what fun that would be at the quarter pole mark for the NFL to have Dez come back with the Cowboys. We need a little kickstart here. Second year. Let's go.
Jordan back with the 4-5.
Would be good.
You got some insider info there? What do you got?
Yeah, thank you, Will. None other than Andrew Siciliano has weighed in on the Kindergarten Cop versus RoboCop discussion. Disappointed in all of us that none of us invoked the name of Bears tight end James Thornton, whose nickname was, Peter?
You say it.
RoboCop. The Bears had a RoboCop tight end. Huge argument in this. There's no Kindergarten Cop in the NFL, but James Thornton is a nickname legend.
You had one of those Costa Post posters, and it was the RoboCop.
RoboCop.
And that makes RoboCop better than 100%. Kindergarten Cop. You need a tight end from the Bears to do it. Nope, it's Kindergarten Cop. We'll be back after this. The Titans hit the lanes this week when they got into the end zone. What other celebrations for striking Nate's fancy this week. You showing us the best of the best?
Yeah, bowling.
Was this shade? Everyone's saying that this is a little shady.
Yeah, because the Eagles did it, so Sharp was like, I'm going to do it too.
Roman, for the first time ever, you can get ED Meds prescribed.